Good afternoon, classmates. Here we are for our week 4 discussion, and I went ahead and chose to follow option 2 that asked us to provide strategies or new ideas that we found helpful in this course. So I wanted to go ahead and really focus on inclusion. I felt like we learned a lot about making or creating an inclusive environment and classroom for our kids, including parents, including other educators, including the community that we lived in. So I thought that would be a good one to really just summarize a lot of what I learned about. And I know that there was an article that was taken from supplemental for one of the quizzes, and it said 5 effective strategies for the inclusive classroom. So the first one they said was getting to know your students' IEPs and 504s. This course did teach me a lot more about IEPs and 504s and the differences, and I know that I still have a lot that I need to learn about those. But I think that the takeaway that I can at least, have from this course and moving forward is knowing that the differences are: one is governed under a special education law, and one is governed under a civil rights law. And ultimately, IEPs are put in place and designed to help children who have one of 13 disabilities that are identified by IDEA and that affect their learning in a general education classroom. So they need to have individualized instruction to help them learn, whereas a 504 is really put in place for a kiddo who just has, I don't want to say just, but who has more of a challenge learning within that general education classroom, but not a disability that makes it where they cannot learn that information or be instructed the same way. That 504s are more in place for a student who might be suffering from ADHD and might need to have fidgets in place or be allowed to have breaks at a certain time, or a wobble chair, or things of that nature, where they stay in their classroom and have the same instruction, but they still have accommodations or modifications to help their learning process. Like I said, I know I still have so much to learn about IEPs and 504s, but I know that part of the article just is really touching on, as a general education teacher, to make sure that we are following and implementing and following through with what the IEP or the 504 plan states for our students. The second one talked about implementing the Universal Design for Learning, so that's UDL, and this this seems like a lot to take in. When I look at the whole Universal Design for Learning chart, it seems like it's a lot to take in, but I think the biggest part of it is that what they are saying with that is that there are many ways for students to learn things, and that we don't have to say that this is the box that we're teaching in and it's the only way to teach it and all our students are going to learn the same way. My takeaway from that is more of utilize multimodal ways to instruct your students, get to know them on an individual basis, to know, ways that they do learn and how you can foster their strengths and bring those into the classroom so that they are successful. Again, same thing. I think I have so much to learn about Universal Design for Learning, but I think that at the end of it, it's really just saying, let's look at our students individually and try to focus on their strengths and see, realize that there's not just one approach to take. The third one in this article says to support important life skills. They're talking about telling time from an analog clock, writing a simple letter, signing their name in cursive, note-taking, and study skills. So I highly agree with all of these. I think that having students have planners, to me, that is one of the most important thing, is to have a planner and write out your day and what it looks like and what you need to accomplish throughout the day, because time management is a huge skill that we need to have as adults. Well, we need to have as students as well. But that there are definitely a lot of skills that aren't always, I don't want to say encouraged, but there's so much that we have to teach when in curriculum that sometimes those common sense, real world things are kind of put to the wayside. And so I think that that's a really key idea, is to make sure that we can also help our students with those day-to-day skills that will help them throughout the course of their life. Number 4 says to engage in collaborative planning and teaching. I fully agree with this. When I was pulled in like a week out from school starting, asking if I could start a 3rd grade classroom, I was like, what? And then I quickly, like, one of the first things I did was call the 3rd grade teacher that my son had the year prior. And I was like, what? I don't know. Can I do this? And she totally assured me I could. Said that, the third grade team of teachers would be there to support me and have my back. And they did. And it was amazing. So in that instance, of course, I really needed their support. But I saw from all of our weekly PLC meetings that they do work as a team, and they bounce ideas off of each other, and they can help support one another in even just things like curriculum. They had it broken apart where one person was in charge of planning for how the science curriculum would be broken down. Another person was in charge of how the social studies curriculum would be broken down. And of course, at the end of the day, your classroom is unique to how you run it, but having that support from other teachers is really helpful. And I think having the inclusion or inclusivity in your classroom by collaborating with other teachers can even go into reaching out to teachers that your students had in prior years. So if you have a student who, has an IEP or 504 plan, or you just want to know more about your students in general, you can reach out to prior teachers and ask how their experiences were and things that worked or didn't work, or, things of that nature. And then the last one that they talk about here in the article is develop a strong behavior management plan. So being a new teacher, I know that is going to be something that is probably going to take some time, like really fine tuning. But they really talk about things like posting daily schedules, displaying classroom rules and expectations, speaking to students privately about concerns. There's a long list of those, but I do agree. I would always write down on the whiteboard for all the students to see everything broken up into chunks. So from this time to this time, this is what we're doing. And just because I think that allows students to have a better understanding of what to look forward to, or how much the time they have to complete something. And they like structure, they like routine. I know as a substitute, I'll come in and I've got my sub plans, and kids will say, no, that's not what we do. We do this time. And, I try to just explain to them, today might be different because I am a substitute and I'm following the plans that your teacher left for me. But I do think that it is really important for kids to have the routine, the stability, because, like we've learned in this course, there are some kiddos who have some struggles and some instability in their home lives. And really, school is one of the safest, most secure places for them. And if they are coming into school and things are thrown off of whack, and of course that's going to happen, but if for the most part they can say, okay, bell rings at this time, we do this from 8 to 8:15, we do this from 8:15 to 9, that just helps them to develop their securities. So yeah, sorry, I feel like it's a long video again, but I do feel like there were a lot of great takeaways and strategies and ideas that I learned from this course, and I've just had a really great time, and all of you classmates have been great, and Dr. Cahill has been amazing. So that's it for this one. All right, thank you guys.